Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 24th, 2024 Board of Supervisors meeting for Newtown Township. I apologize for starting a few minutes late this evening. We were meeting ahead of schedule. We had an executive session this evening. Maybe.
Mr. Chairman, it may
Yes.
be worthy to note, and we usually do this later in the agenda,
Yes.
but since you brought it up,
Yep.
I'd like to note for the record that the board met in executive session to discuss matters of collective bargaining and litigation. Thank you.
I was just going to ask if you wanted to pronounce that then or now. Okay, very good. As we're coming to the 24th of January, it reminds me that since the last meeting, we celebrated Martin Luther King holiday. And as we have our moment of silence this evening, just keep in mind the value of serving of us all serving our community in different ways. So let's have a moment of silence together. Thank you. Now please stand and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Manager, are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
No changes, Mr. Chairman.
Any special actions? I see none. It brings us to our first round of public comment. If anyone would like to offer public comment this evening, please come to the microphone, give your name and where you live. And seeing none, I did get an email that I wanted to read. I think the whole board got the email. And let me get it on my computer. Okay, this is from Newtown Township resident Jack Brode. It's to the Board of Supervisors, and it's for the meeting this evening. I wanted to publicly express deep appreciation and heartfelt thanks to Police Chief Hearn and all the law enforcement professionals who collectively performed with excellence at last week's protest march. Chief Hearn was presented with a challenging situation for many reasons, not the least of which was that he had less than 72 hours to develop his plan and coordinate with neighboring police departments and the county and state officials. He exercised judicious discretion in the key decisions needed to be made and was personally engaged in the streets from start to finish with protesters and his colleagues. Thankfully, he and many of his officers have prior experience with these types of protests. Last week further deepened the trust and respect so many of us have for our local police officers, and the support and unity from so many Newtown residents reminded us how grateful we are to live in Newtown. Thank you again, Chief Hearn, and to your entire team. That was from Jack Brode. I would certainly second and agree with that comment. But I'll get a chance to do that later. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll go on. And I believe we have reports of boards and commissions. And I see Peg Driscoll here for the Planning Commission.
Hi, good evening. Peggy Driscoll, Chair of the Newtown Township Planning Commission. Here to give you a synopsis of our January 16th meeting. The first item on our agenda was reorganization of our committee. The PC unanimously voted myself as chair, Craig Deutsch as vice chair, Mary Donaldson as secretary treasurer. Mary also serves as our recording secretary. and Jerry Shankman as our solicitor. I'd also like to thank Leanna, our engineer, for all your support, and Michelle Fountain, our planner. Next item we had was our zoning hearing board. The first application was Zalit at 11 Cloverly Lane. The applicant is seeking increased impervious surface of 19.7%, where 12% is the maximum, and 14.9 is the existing impervious. We recommend that the board take no action on this application. We did recommend that the applicant attempt to learn why there is a discrepancy between the permitted and existing impervious, and to be prepared to demonstrate steps to mitigate the runoff from the increased impervious. Apparently, the previous owner had widened and lengthened the driveway without a permit. They were unaware of this when they purchased the house. And then regarding the fence, the PC was supportive, as this property has 2 front yards, one adjacent to Dorm Road, which is a safety concern. Next, we had Miller at 11 Stupeville Road. The applicant is seeking a side yard setback relief of 36.54 feet, where 50 feet is required. A special exception is also needed. The commission recommended the board take no position on this application. Next, we had 2 PRD variances. Giletto at 13 Armstrong Circle. The applicant is seeking a variance for rear yard setback relief of 28.3 feet, where 30 is required, to build a covered deck and sunroom. The commission recommends that the board grant this relief, subject to compliance with the Remington and Vernick review letter dated December 28th. Next, we had Fitzpatrick at 6 Hartsfeld Road. The applicant is seeking an increase in impervious surface to 48.9%, where 42.6 is the maximum to install an in-ground pool. The commission recommends that the board grant this relief, subject to compliance with the Remington and Vernick letter dated December 22nd, and that the applicant can demonstrate measures to mitigate the additional runoff to the satisfaction of the township engineer. And lastly, we had a conditional use for Alma's Southern Indian Cuisine at 28 North Sycamore Street. This is the former Zoe's Kitchen, located next to Jules Pizza. The applicant is seeking approval to open a restaurant in the former Zoe's Kitchen at Goodnoe Corner. The commission recommends that the board approve this application, subject to compliance with the CKS review letter dated January 10th. The commission recommended that the applicant extend its hours of operation to 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. to allow flexibility to remain open later without the need of an additional conditional use. We reminded the applicant that any exterior changes to the facade or signage would require HARB approval. And although the review of the comp plan was on the agenda, Upper Makefield has withdrawn its suggested edits after consultation with the Bucks County Planning Commission. And that was all we had. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Just going back to the comprehensive plan, we do expect that we'll be able to maybe move on that next
Hopefully.
week at the jointure meeting. That'd be good.
Yeah, we're done with it. Newtown is done with it. It's now we're just waiting on Upper Makefield and Ricetown. I believe they have reviewed it.
Yep. I think that's what they were planning to do this month,
Yeah, we hope so. We spent a lot of time reviewing it.
over and over.
We're ready to go.
All right. Anything else? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and thank the commission. That brings us to reports from the Board of Supervisors. Since the last meeting, I spent 10 out of the last 14 days sick, so I haven't gotten to too many meetings. But I did want to also commend Chief Hearn and all the Newtown Township Police Department for maintaining order and safety last week during the protests and counter-protests that we had in Newtown. So thank them, and I'll pass it on to Ms. Snyder.
I also witnessed the protests and counter-protests, and I, too, would like to say Chief Hearn just did a wonderful job. Couldn't ask for more. I attended a Newtown Fire Association meeting on Monday night where they swore in the board and are looking to recruit new members. So if anybody knows any volunteers for the Fire Association, please have them step up and go to the borough and see what their options are, because we really need volunteers. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mack?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This past Monday, I had my first Meet Mac Monday Zoom meeting, and we discussed a lot of things. And one of the more interesting discussions had to do with trash pickup. I don't know about many people out there, but in our homeowners association, our trash hauler has decided to cut back pickups to once per week instead of twice per week, while keeping my fee at $90 a quarter. And we talked to various other people in different communities who have a one hauler for the whole development. We don't have that in Country Bend. We couldn't negotiate that with Waste Management. So the discussion focused around, should the township have a one hauler pickup and to be paid for by taxes? It was a very interesting discussion. I won't get into the details. Tomorrow morning, I hope to go to the Newtown Business Association membership breakfast. Actually, it's open to anybody who wants to go. It's at the Newtown Theater, beginning at 7:30. I don't know if I can get up and make it over there by 7:30, but I used to be a member of the Newtown Business Association when I had a business, and I like to meet the new members and haven't talked about how business is going on in Newtown. It's also a chance to exchange business cards if you're interested. I would recommend you check that out. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Mr. Calabro? Mr. Davis? Okay. We'll move right along. Public hearings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First public hearing this evening. We have our court reporter in the room to record. This is for Alma's Southern Indian Cuisine at 280 North Sycamore Street. They are requesting a conditional use to operate a use E5 eating place and a use E6 eating place drive-in, which has been interpreted to include takeout food. At this location. This was, as Ms. Driscoll pointed out in her report, the former site of the Zoe's Kitchen restaurant. So it's one restaurant moving into the space previously occupied by another, but the ordinance requires that a conditional use be obtained. I'd like to mark for the record Exhibit B1 as the application and its attachments. Exhibit B2 is the proof of publication of notice of today's hearing, published in the Advance of Bucks County on January 7th and January 14th, 2024. Exhibit B3 will be a photograph depicting proof of posting of notice of today's hearing. Exhibit B4 will be the last exhibit, and that will be the CKS engineer's letter dated January 10th, 2024, reviewing this application. It would be appropriate now for folks who represent the applicant to come forward to the podium, please. Yeah, whoever's going to testify, if they're going to have anybody testify, they need to come up to the podium as well. Everybody needs to be sworn in. Push the button there.
Okay, we're on.
Could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Yeah, my name is Frederick Vidi, V-I-D-I.
Mr. Vidi, are you an attorney?
No,
No, okay. But you're representing the applicant
I'm
here?
helping them right with consulting.
You're consulting with them?
Correct.
Okay, okay. I think that all three, you seem to have two witnesses with you, all three of you ought to be sworn in by our court reporter at this time.
Raise your right hand, please, all. Very good. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And I'll need all three of your names. I got yours.
Balakrishnan. Yeah. Okay. B as in boy, A as in alpha, L as in Lima, A as in alpha, K as in king, R as in Romeo, I as in ice cream, S as in Sam, H as in hotel, N as in Nancy, A as in alpha, N as in Nancy. It's a bigger name, sorry.
I lost that.
And your name?
Oh, yes, okay. Satish Varadan. S as in Sam, A as in apple, T as in Tom, H as in hotel, I as in ice cream, S as in Sam, H as in hotel. That's my first name. Last name is V as in Victor, A as in apple, R as in Robert, A as in apple, D as in David, H as in hotel, A as in apple, N as in Nancy.
Okay, why don't you tell the board what it is you want to do with the proposed restaurant?
So they want to, these two fellows have several restaurant locations, Philadelphia, University City, New Jersey, and they like the Newtown area, and they want to open up an establishment here in Newtown. They have pretty much an upscale, I would say, Southern Indian cuisine. It's a little different than the other Indian restaurants, correct?
Yes.
So they have something more diversified to their part of India where they're from. They're looking to have a total of 72 seats in the dining room, 30 seats on the outdoors for seasonal existing patio. They're looking for hours of operation between Sunday and Thursday, between 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday would be the same, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. There is no liquor license, strictly food.
Okay, any other testimony from your witnesses?
No.
Okay, board questions for the applicant?
I had one or two. You did say the hours of operation, they were a little bit different than what was on here, but 11 to 11, 7 days a week?
All 7 days.
All 7 days.
Okay. And maybe I didn't catch it, the number of employees?
The number of employees is at the max is 12. Basically, there was 3 different shifts that we talked about. And I believe that they started out with an average of 8 employees, but a maximum of 12. So course of the day, it would be till, evening, when it would be the most employees.
And you feel that's flexible enough for you, that if something changes, you wouldn't have to come back here?
No.
Okay, good. I noticed the planning commission recommended that you go to 11 to 11, so, because of
Yes.
that same reason. Now, you don't have to be open that whole time, but that gives you
Correct.
flexibility to change in the future.
Correct. That's why we changed it,
Yep, good.
yeah.
That's what I had. Yes, Ms. Mack?
Is it true you have restaurants in other locations?
Yes.
And you're not going to apply for a liquor license here, but do you serve liquor in the other locations?
Yeah, one locations we have a liquor with Philadelphia.
Do you intend in the future to try to obtain a liquor license?
As of now, no, I didn't have any idea about that.
So it would be bring your own bottle, I guess.
Yeah.
The other thing I had, it did mention something about signage. It would have to be HARB approval, but I'm sure that's pretty strict. But also, it said all signage desired in the applicant must conform to the standards established for the shopping center. Is there any specific standards that we're talking about here? Does anybody know what those, are those standards for the shopping center any different than the township in general? In some terms of signage? Anybody know that? I don't know what that term means, standards.
Well, I do not know.
It
I would
sounds-
imagine that the shopping center, and can't speak for them, but from what I see, that they probably would not, they couldn't have no neon, no flashing, no lighted signs. It would have to be lit as far as like a sign and then lit from above or beyond the side.
I'm sure you can get information from Harp
Yeah,
about
but
that.
with Harp, we're going to create renderings and, why don't you,
No
what's that?
individual box sign.
No box, no, it's a
Yeah.
wooden panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, what they have now is they have a plaque, and they have letters that was Zoe's, and they're planning on changing that to Amos. And then they're gonna put new awnings on, and maybe a logo on their awnings, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Why don't you show them the renderings too, so you can pass them around, of what it's gonna look like, it would be helpful.
Is there a particular reason why it's named Amos? Does it mean something in Indian?
Means mother.
Mother.
Mother, okay, great.
Yeah, let me see, good job there.
I thought it might mean that.
Any other questions?
No.
Separate
We'll give them a
two.
chance to show us since they brought the renderings up.
So, you could just pass these, or we'll pass two sides, I guess. This is the interior photos. We pass that one from there. And these are what are existing, in case they want to see.
Oh, okay. These are all different? These aren't copies of the same thing, they're all
They're the
different?
sa- No, they're the same.
Oh, these are the
Two
same,
sets.
okay.
Yeah, we're just,
So it's 4 photographs total?
correct, interior photographs.
Okay, so we'll mark the set of 4 interior photographs as Exhibit A1. And note that they depict, is this one of your other restaurants?
No, this is for Newtown.
Oh, this is what the Newtown
Is gonna look like.
is proposed to look like,
Proposed to look
okay.
like. And we
Okay.
have some we just circulated that are existing of what Zoe's look like.
Oh, okay, so we'll mark Zoe's photos as Exhibit A2.
It's very elegant looking.
Yeah, it's a little more upscale than the normal.
Let me see the Zoe, I need the Zoe's.
This is always,
Yeah,
Zoe's
hold
are
on to
coming.
the Almas. This way, John. Well. Thank you. We'll mark the group of Zoe's as I said, Exhibit A2.
There is 4, correct?
Yes, 4,
Okay.
yes. Any other testimony? Okay, any other board questions? Be appropriate to open it up for public comment, Mr. Chairman? Is there any public comment on this application?
Or do we want to get a motion first?
Yeah, I can absolutely frame a motion
You
for
want to
you.
frame a motion first?
And then we will ask for public comment again.
Yeah, yes.
If the board's of a mind, it's a motion to grant the application of Ama's Newtown LLC, doing business as Ama's Southern Indian Cuisine, for a conditional use to operate a Use E5 eating place and Use E6 eating place drive-in as part of a shopping center Use E15 in the PC Plan Commercial Zoning District to be located in Building 4A of the Shops at Sycamore Street, also known as Goodnoe Corner, at the corner of Durham Road and Sycamore Street in the township. This proposed restaurant will occupy approximately 3,000 square feet at the former location of Zoe's Kitchen. The street address is 280 North Sycamore Street. Approval is granted conditioned on the applicant's compliance with the following conditions. First, the hours of operation shall be 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. Second, there shall be a maximum of 12 employees at any shift. 3, deliveries must be coordinated with the surrounding businesses so as not to cause traffic issues, and to the greatest extent possible must be conducted before or after normal business hours. The size of the delivery vehicles and the frequency of deliveries must be provided to the Board of Supervisors before any permits are issued for these uses. No loading or unloading is permitted along Durham Road or Sycamore Street at any time. 4, there shall be no noxious, toxic, or corrosive fumes, smoke, odors, or dust generated by this use on the property. 5, No loud noises shall be generated at this site, and no music shall be permitted that can be heard beyond the premises. The nature of any outdoor speaker system must be reviewed by the Board of Supervisors and approved by the board before being implemented. 6, no offensive odors or glare shall be generated or produced on site. Additionally, no hazardous, flammable, or explosive impacts are permitted. If this condition should change in any way that increases the danger at this site, it's the obligation of the applicant to notify the landlord and Newtown Township of the existence of this risk, why it exists, and what steps are being taken to remediate the risk. 7, the applicant shall supply will-serve letters from the appropriate water and sewer agencies for this location to the Board of Supervisors prior to the issuance of any permits for these uses. 8, the facility shall be ADA compliant and satisfy all requirements of both state and federal law. 9, all signs that front on Sycamore Street shall be subject to securing a certificate of appropriateness from the Board of Supervisors after review by the Newtown Township Historic Architectural Review Board. 10, in this regard, the applicant must meet with the Newtown Township Historical Architectural Review Board if it intends to make any architectural changes to the exterior of the building, so HARB can make appropriate recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. 11, any and all fees and costs due from the applicant to Newtown Township must be paid in full prior to the issuance of any permits for these uses. And finally, the applicant shall comply with the comments contained in the CKS Engineers Review Letter dated January 10th, 2024. Those are the conditions on the motion. Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a se-
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I would ask the applicant, you heard me read those conditions. Are those conditions acceptable to you?
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, Mr. Chairman, it would be appropriate to call for public comment before a vote is taken.
Any public comment?
Board comment?
Please. Sure.
Yeah, Mr. Solicitor, I heard you mention in regards to outside speakers that they could come back to the board and request that that happens, but just to keep it uniformed, I do believe we require all the other establishments no outdoor speakers, intercoms, or music outside this establishment. So why are you making that special provision?
Okay, that came from the Planning Commission. I would ask the applicant.
I'm reading this right here, and it says, further, the applicant represented that there will be no outdoor speakers, intercoms, nor music outside this establishment. And this is from the Planning Commission.
Okay, I'm looking at a separate motion that was drafted. There shall be no
I mean, I just think it's fair because all the other,
outdoor speaker system,
I remember
period.
Mr. Blackburn coming up numerous times, and that was always a stipulation in any of the agreements.
Would the board, Ms. Snyder and Mr. Mack for the motion and the second be agreeable to changing condition number 5 to read, no loud noises shall be generated on this site and no music shall be permitted that can be heard beyond the premises. There shall be no outdoor speaker system. Is that acceptable? Yep. Okay, so the motion is changed to reflect that and the second is changed to reflect that. Thank you, Mr. Calabro.
Public comment, one last time. Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the conditional use for Amma's Southern Indian Cuisine, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And that will end the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you and good luck.
Okay, thank you.
When are you going to open?
Do you have a projected date to open?
As soon as they get through all this, they can start with their permits and sewer and everything. They're trying to find.
So, a few weeks or a couple of months.
There'll be a few months.
Yeah. I'm ever optimistic. Okay, great. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thanks for your time.
Okay, the next item on public hearings, not stenographically recorded, so we will let Hope go her merry way, is the PRD variance application of Sheila Fitzpatrick for 16 Hartfeld Road, seeking permission to install an in-ground swimming pool and related improvements that will increase the impervious surface for her lot from
On the agenda, don't we have the engineer's report? No. Oh, sorry.
no problem. Increase the impervious coverage from its allowable 36.5% to 48.9%, according to the final plan of Wiltshire Walk. Mark exhibits B1 will be the application filed by Ms. Fitzpatrick. And Exhibit B2 will be the proof of publication of notice of tonight's hearing. Exhibit B3 will be the Remington-Vernick review letter dated December 22nd, 2023. Looks like Ms. Fitzpatrick is standing at the podium, and why don't you tell the board what you want to do here?
So I'm requesting a 10 by 20 pool, fiberglass. Based on the planning committee's recommendation, we have come up with an additional infiltration trench that will reduce what is being requested for the impervious space. That'll bring it down to 39%.
So, Ms. Fitzpatrick, are you saying that you're amending your request to increase the impervious coverage to 39% from where 36.5% is permitted?
So currently, it's at 42% with a deck that
Right.
was put in by a previous owner, and apparently was a variance for that, so that is allowed. That was,
So you're actually reducing
I'm reducing it.
from what it is, but it's still above the final plan of Wiltshire Walk requirement.
That is correct.
Okay,
So instead of 36, it's 39,
okay.
which is less than it is today.
Reducing it from what it is today. Board questions for Ms. Fitzpatrick?
Any questions?
Just a comment. It's great that you're reducing the impervious surface. I've never heard that before. So thank you.
If I may, I think just it's maybe reduce is the wrong word. We're mitigating, maybe might be the proper terminology. Going from, we're currently sitting at 48.9% and providing infiltration trench to relieve back down to what would be considered proper stormwater management for that percentage.
Oh,
I
guess
see.
I'm not understanding correctly.
I'll explain it.
Can you explain it?
They're installing their pool and their other improvements that go associated with the pool. That will take the impervious coverage on the property up to 48.9%.
Yes, sir.
Impervious coverage will be 48.9%. They're installing stormwater mitigation measures on the property that will reduce or handle stormwater runoff that will bring it down to 39%.
Yes, sir. He has it here coming off of, it's mitigating 834 square foot, which would bring us from the 3935 back down to somewhere in the realm of 3,400 square foot of impervious.
How much is being mitigated?
Approximately 834 square foot.
34 square feet.
So you're talking about effective impervious surface reduction, not
Yeah, so
actual.
essentially what it is directly behind the pool, we're providing an infiltration trench 3 foot across, 6 foot deep by 20 foot long to encompass all the runoff coming off the pool.
Right. How do you know that's going to work?
I have calculations that support it. I really don't. It's the engineer provided them for me.
Okay. Township does not have any jurisdiction over that. Is that correct? We can't,
We just received the revised plans that show the infiltration trench, so our office is reviewing them. I just took a quick look here. They are, they're describing that they're proposing an infiltration trench to mitigate that additional impervious. Our office will take a look at it to make sure that it complies with the ordinance. Yep. It wasn't included in their last submission, so I'm just seeing this.
And that
now.
will be
Yep.
Conditioned,
Exactly, yep.
approval will be conditioned on meeting that, having that approval. I had a question. I didn't get a chance to drive over there and look to see, but you had the homeowners association approval, and you had
Yep.
one neighbor send a letter.
Yeah, I only have one neighbor.
That was my question.
I'm on the corner.
Yep.
So there's nobody to one side of me, only to the other. I have that approval. And behind me is the retention basin.
Common land. Great. That's what I had. Anybody else? If we were in mind to make a motion.
I
what
would
say?
be happy to frame a motion, Mr. Chairman. If the board's of a mind, it would be a motion to grant the application of Sheila Fitzpatrick for a PRD variance to allow the installation of an in-ground swimming pool and associated improvements at 16 Hartfeld Road, which is Lot 36 of Wiltshire Walk. This would be an amendment to the final plan of Wiltshire Walk to allow 48.9% impervious coverage where 36.5% is permitted and 42.6% is existing, conditioned on the following. First, the applicant shall comply with the Remington Vernick engineer's letter dated December 22nd, 2023. Second, the applicant shall comply with the Wiltshire Walk Community Association letter of October 5th, 2023. Third, the applicant shall mitigate all increased runoff to the satisfaction of the township engineer. And finally, the applicant shall pay all fees and costs due to Newtown Township for PRD variance review.
Do we have a motion? I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Okay. Any further comments or questions from the board?
I just have one for Leanne. I don't know if you had taken a look. Stormwater management, everything's okay with that?
We'll do a thorough review. I did a quick calc while I was sitting here, and it looks okay. So if we need anything additional, we'll request it from their engineer, but taking a quick look, it looks okay at this point. Yep.
Thank you.
And I did hear that as part of the motion as well. Anyone else? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the PRD variance for 10 Hartfield Road?
16 Hartfeld. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I need to blink. 16 Hartfield Lane,
There is no 10.
because you're the end lot. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy your poll.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The final public hearing this evening is the application of Mr. and Mrs. Gregory Gilletto. That is for 13 Armstrong Circle, which is Lot 38 in Newtown Gate. The applicants seek to construct a 144-square-foot covered deck and 243-square-foot sunroom addition, where the sunroom addition will exceed the minimum rear yard setback as noted on Newtown Gate's final plan. Newtown Gate requires a 30-foot rear yard setback. The applicants propose a 28-foot 3-inch setback, which is a difference of 1 feet 9 inches. Mr. Gilletto?
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I am Greg Gilletto, the homeowner at 13 Armstrong Circle. So we are seeking a variance to take down our existing sunroom and then reconstruct it with that less than 2-foot variance. If you look at the property that we're on, we do have a hardship where It comes off to a point, because we're in a cul-de-sac on the other side of the house, where you generally wouldn't make an expansion. It's off of the dining room. So where we are going to make the expansion is off of the living room. And unfortunately, 10 feet puts us a little bit tight when it comes to furnishings and windows and trims. So we're just seeking a small variance to make that an appropriate sizing. We have received sign-off from the 3 adjoining neighbors, approval from the HOA, and then obviously the Planning Commission. And we've already been working with a third party in review of the Remington and Vernick engineers' requests if we do get approval, and we will be in full compliance with those if approval is received.
Board questions?
I'm going to get out there with my ruler and check those 2 feet.
It's going to make a big difference to us.
You probably won't be able to tell the difference from one house to the next.
You know, they do things the right way, though.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
If the board's of a mind, it would be a motion to grant the application of Mr. and Mrs. Gregory Gilletto for a PRD variance from the final plan of Newtown Gate to allow a rear yard setback of 28 feet 3 inches where a 30-foot rear yard setback is required, subject to the applicant's compliance with the following. First, the applicant shall comply with the Remington Vernick engineer's letter dated December 28, 2023. Secondly, the applicant shall comply with the Newtown Gate Homeowners Association letter of November 27, 2023. And finally, the applicant shall pay all fees and costs due to Newtown Township for PRD variance review.
Would someone like to make that motion?
I would make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Second? Second. Okay, thank you, Mr. Clabro. Any further discussion from the board?
Is Mr. Gillies your architect here?
Yes, he is, ma'am. He's wonderful.
I know, yeah.
He came out to the meeting.
Yes. He's been here before. Yeah, you've been here before. Let me call the question. I did ask for public comment, yes. Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor of approving the PRD variance for Gregory Gilletto at 12 Armstrong Circle, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
That concludes the public hearings this evening, Mr. Chairman. And just looking at the agenda, there are no land development items nor engineer reports, so I think I'm up with my solicitor's report. Mr. Mack.
Could I just...
With one indulgence. Yes, Mr. Mack.
I just wanted to ask, since it came up at my Zoom meeting about the Newtown Creek Bridge local share account grant, it was mentioned that the announcements will be made in June, and I think your report says September. Can you update us when that grant awards will be announced? Not that we will get it, we might get it.
You might get it. We had heard September. That was the information that we got from the grant agency when we submitted, that it would more so be the September timeline that you would hear an approval.
Just to clarify, this is for the bridge at Frost Lane, the proposed bridge.
Mm-hmm.
What, northern?
The northernmost bridge.
Yeah, it's
that's
from
correct.
Frost Lane to North Sycamore Street.
Exactly, yep. Shared between the township and the borough.
A lot of people I spoke to were in favor of that because it can help businesses on North Sycamore Street. So
Yep.
hopefully we'll get that grant.
Yep.
Anything else for our engineer? Okay, Mr. Solicitor, you're back.
Thank you. The only item on our report this evening is the upcoming zoning hearing board applications to be heard by the zoning hearing board on February 1st. They are both residential. One deals with an addition. The other deals with a swimming pool. You heard Ms. Driscoll's report on those two items. Does the board wish to take a position on either of those?
Can I make a comment on one of them? I guess it's the Sally Sallet one. I mean, the Planning Commission recommended we take no action. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And again, talking about the increased pervious surface, I mean, sometimes you get a report of X percent increase, but actually, this increase, 12% was the maximum allowed. It's now currently want to be up to 19.7%, and that's actually a 64% increase by my calculations.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So if you were looking, it's the way you're looking at these percentages, is there a way, I don't want to oppose this, but is there a way to get a message somehow to the zoning hearing board that if it's a motion's required, I might, we might consider that, but a message saying that the Board of Supervisors is concerned about impervious surface increases throughout the township, and granting this application, for example, would increase the impervious surface to a level 64% above the maximum permissible. It seems a little high to me, but I don't want to oppose this. I just want to send somehow a message to the zoning hearing board that granting a lot of these exceptions or variances to the impervious surface is eventually going to hurt us. Now with climate change, I know a lot of people don't accept that, but I believe it's going to be in our comprehensive plan. Is that correct, Ms. Snyder? That there's going to be language in our comprehensive plan about mitigating the effect of climate change, and impervious surface is a very important part of that. So I don't know, is it possible to send a message to the zoning hearing board other than this public meeting?
Well, I don't think that's appropriate. I think the board either has to take a position on a given application, specific application, and appear in front of the zoning hearing board when it's hearing that application. But I don't think it's the province of the board to advise the zoning hearing board generally of what it feels and is concerned about certain trends.
All right, I guess we'll leave it at that.
Okay, hearing no other...
I have one question.
Yes.
It looks here that, looks to me that Ms. Sallet owns 2 lots, Lot 3 and Lot 4. So given the impervious surface, if she owns 2 lots, I would say it would be, is that correct?
It looked like she owns 2 lots.
Right. So being that it's 2 lots, I would say it's much more acceptable to have this increase than if it was just 1 lot, if you get the math that I'm speaking of. Maybe I'm wrong in assuming that?
No, I mean, even with the pool, it's slightly less than 1/5 of the property is with impervious coverage. I think that's a good point. Okay, that concludes our report. Thank you.
That brings us to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General fund balance this evening is $4,775,606. Plan expiration reports before the board with no action required, and we have Chief Forsythe.
Hi, Chief Hearn.
Monthly
Wrong
emergency
chief, right?
services report. Evening, Chief.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
For the month of December, I would like to report we had 134 calls for service. We completed 44 fire safety inspections in Newtown Township, 1 fire alarm inspection. And in Newtown Borough, we completed 14 fire safety inspections, 1 use and occupancy, and 1 fire alarm. We responded to 3 fumes in calls, 29 alarm systems, 1 apartment fire, 1 auto extrication, 9 dwelling fires, 78 EMS calls, 3 traffic accidents, 4 assist squad, 1 brush fire, 1 nursing home fire, 1 special assignment, and 1 stuck elevator. December was a busy month for us. We had the tree lighting ceremony at Station 45 in the borough. We had the candy cane hunt at Roberts Ridge with the Park and Rec department. December 3rd, we participated in the holiday parade to escort Santa Claus to town, and on December 23rd, we escorted Santa through town and caused all kinds of disturbance with sirens and air horns, and that's part of the fun of doing it. That is our report for December. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Chief, the stuck elevator, was it occupied?
Yes,
To me, that's the scariest thing that you mentioned.
yes, yep.
How did they hold up? For how long?
It took us about 10 minutes,
Okay.
but we've been running into a lot of them lately, so
Wow.
we're doing a lot of work with
Are
codes.
they inspected regularly?
They're done annually, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I had a question about the fire alarms, the inspections, fire alarms. Were they residences or were they businesses?
They're commercial. The fire alarms, inspections that we do are commercial.
Okay. Gotcha. Any other questions for the chief? Chief Forsyth.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Have a great night.
That's all I have
You
under
too.
my report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Brings us to minutes, bills list, and reports.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the January 10th, 2024 minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Do we have any discussion from the board? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the minutes for January 10th, 2024, Board of Supervisors meeting, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we pay our bills in the January, as noted in the January 24th, 2024 bills list, totaling $210,344.39.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it. A motion and a second. Do we have any discussion from the board?
I just have a comment on a couple of these things. I want to note, as I usually do, about street light repairs. So far this year, we would be paying $6,319.92 in street repairs. And in terms of zoning officer services, I know we pay this outside service, Barry Issett and Associates. Their bill for December is $41,373.80. I just wanted to make a note of that.
Okay. We do have a motion and a second. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in paying our bills as listed on the bills list for January 24th, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Finally, I move that we approve funds transfer as per our January 24th, 2024 bills list totaling $46,953.68.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of paying our inter-fund transfers for January 24th, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, thank you, Mr. Mack. That brings us to our second round of public comment. If you care to give a comment, please come to the microphone and state your name. Good evening, sir.
John the April, Newtown Grant, biggest and the best. See, all these comments are directed to what Mr. Mack said, mainly about the bridge, the bridges. You know, I think I got on a public record before that the townships shouldn't spend 1 penny on these bridges. One's proposed by the builder who lives in the borough, and the other one by Mike Sellers, who lives in the borough. And I know there's engineering money been spent on this so far, but supposedly I was told that once they get the grant for the bridge by the bank on Durham Road, that that will take care of that. Don't know, but so I want it on record that we should spend 1 penny on those bridges. It's a borough want, and most people in the township don't want it, so why spend their money? Another thing is he brought up the trash vendors. You know, this has been brought up many times in Newtown Grant, who is the biggest, you know, in Newtown. And we decided to let the residents decide. I know a lot of people don't like it. I mean, I have 4 days of trucks. You know, I only have one pickup day, but there's 4 days, 4 different companies. Trucks come into my section anyway. I don't know about all the sections, but I mean, they're eligible to get them. Since I've been here, 3 companies dropped out. And we don't want the township to mess with the trash collectors. Township gets involved in it. You look what happened in Northampton last year with Mascara. Maybe I shouldn't say that name, but it did happen with Mascara. And he blamed a little bit on COVID, a little bit on not having enough drivers and all that stuff. But the people were hurting. They didn't get their trash picked up for weeks. You know, they had problems. And since then, Northampton got rid of that one vendor and got another vendor, and their fees went up. So, I mean, it's Newtown Grant decided to let the residents pick their own company. So they complained about the fees. Hey, you had a choice. Township did not get involved in trash, because you look at the other communities, not just Northampton, that does the trash, you have problems. And why take on you know, more problems? You know, the Meet Mac Monday thing. I mean, that's an easy thing for lazy people to get on there, sit behind their keyboard and complain and tell people. And instead of coming to the meeting room over here, look at all these smiling faces in the meeting room. You know, let them get up behind that keyboard and come to the meeting where they should be airing their complaints. That's it for now. Thank you.
So the public knows there are no smiling faces in the audience. Well, one or two. One or two. Worth it. Yes. All right, no other public comments. Let's go on to old business. We do have an item, appointments to committees. I don't know, I had a question here. Do we want to act on this tonight? Do we want to just say what, review these and vote on them next time? I'm okay either way, but I would like to make some progress. Let me just explain what we have, and we can go from there. Craig Deutsch has submitted a letter to be part of the the HARB Historic and Architectural Review Board. Yeah. So move. Okay. We motion. And a second. We want to approve Craig. Say, all those in favor of approving Craig for HARB, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. I like doing that. Then we have 3 applications for the Human Relations Commission. Susan Skirata, John Gillenhammer, and Kara McCarthy, which I'm going to hold for a second. Kara apparently lives in Lower Makefield. I don't think she works in Newtown, at least not full-time. I looked at the ordinance, the enabling, what do you call it, enabling resolution that created the the Human Relations Commission, and the person has to be a resident of Newtown or work full-time in Newtown. So unfortunately, I don't think we can act on Sarah, or on Kara. She has been a non-voting member. She's been attending meetings when they're held, so she can continue doing that. But I would like to nominate Susan Scarata and John Gillenhammer. I hope everybody had a chance to look at their resumes.
I'd make that motion.
And I would second it. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion from the board?
I just needed one clarification. I think the ordinance says that the chair of that commission can appoint one member himself. Is that correct?
I would have to check that out, John. I don't know that offhand. It doesn't
I don't
seem
remember.
likely because the
Well,
board is
I-
responsible for appointing
I
members.
think I did read that, so please check it out.
I'd be
And,
happy to.
I've been talking to Kevin Antoine, who's the chair. He's the head of the DEI unit or whatever at Bucks County Community College.
Yep.
And with one other or two other appointees, they'll have a quorum and can resume their meetings.
Yeah. This would give them 4, and so that would be a quorum for 5.
Yeah,
But
3
you'd
would
like
be
to
a
have
quorum, right? Yeah.
3 would be a quorum. This
So this
would give them
up to 4, that's good.
So good.
All members of the commission shall be appointed by the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. That was fast.
Continue to read, please.
Sure. The commission may elect up to 3 non-voting ex officio members to broaden the diversity that serves on the commission.
I think that's what Kara was.
Members shall be residents of the township or individuals who work full-time within the township.
And so that provision of residence would apply to the
One of the commission's members shall be appointed as the chairperson of the commission by the members of the commission, not by the chairperson of the commission.
So bottom line, we're still looking for a 5th member, a 5th voting member, and anyone who would like to submit a letter of intent may still do so, and will be considered.
We have a vote, we have a motion and
We
a
have a
second.
motion on the table, yeah. We had a motion and a second, I believe. So let's vote. Well, first of all, let me ask if there's any public comment. Thank you. We'll go on. And all those in favor of approving Susan Scarata and John Gillenhammer for the Human Relations Commission, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And there was one other letter of interest that I think Mark Borkman was going to attend a couple of committee meetings and see if there was
Yes,
a good fit.
I've invited him. He has not come yet, so
Okay.
he's to the EAC anyway.
Maybe between you and I, we can ask him what he wants to do. All right. Any new business?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Cloudberry.
Chair, I guess it's a combination, new business, old business. It has been a while since we've had any kind of report from Newtown Artesian Water Company, and I think we should request something. A few months ago, I did read that the water quality in Yardley actually had tinges of chlorine in the water. And not to be a conspiracy theorist, but sometimes when I drink our water, I feel like I'm drinking a little bit of chlorine taste in there. And I'd like to get a state of our water condition by the gentleman that runs the Artesian Water Company.
I think that'd be a great idea. I think one of my first meetings, we had them, Newtown Artesian here, and I don't know that we've had them here since, maybe one other time.
I did talk to the director last week or so, I believe. I don't know if other supervisors talked to him. I forget his name right off here. What's his name? Dan. Yeah, he notified me that the department, the PA Department of Environmental Protection now requires 0 PSAs in the water. And in order to get to 0, you have to have a filtration system. And the Newtown Artesian is considering that, and they will be coming, he told me he will be coming, obviously, before the Board of Supervisors to discuss that and to give a report on what's happening with the water. But now it's much more strict controls are necessary.
Mr. Lewis, do you think you could, Mr. Lewis, do you think you could make an inquiry about that for us?
I will talk to Dan.
Great. Any other old, new business? New, old business? Okay, we did mention that we had an executive session this evening. Seeing no objections, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone.